This is a beginning bass guitar tutorial designed for the brand new student of the guitar, one that just starting out and got some dreams and ambitions. It's not an attempt to get you to play any particular style of music. I personally like to play everything I can get my hands on and that I can, to my capability levels. So I would encourage you to take this one a little bit serious, because it is a building block and it'll help you find your way around in a live situation, and just all around helpful to know where your notes are on your guitar. Eventually they will become memorized, but until they do, you're going to have to find them. So I'm playing a 5-string bass guitar. If you have a 4-string model, just ignore this first string. Just skip past that part, fast forwards. But other than that, it plays the same as a 4-string guitar. It just has an extra lower scale. It's kind of an extended scale down to a low B. So the notes on this guitar would be, this string is a B. On a 4-string guitar, the lowest string is the E string, or this string it's this one, so it's E. Then we have the A string, then the D string, and then the G string. I hope you can see the string vibrating. It helps, it's easier to identify it. So again, pointing, we have the B string, the E string, the A string, the D string, and the G string. So in your scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the E and the F are a half step, and the B and C are a half step. A step on a bass guitar is 2 frets. So from this dot to this dot is a whole step. From this dot or this fret to this fret is a half step. So half step, whole step. And that's the basic mechanics for finding your scale. So if you start with the low open B, the next note up is a C, which would be the first fret, 1 fret or half step. From the C you go to a D, so it's a whole step, 2 frets. From the D to the E is a whole step, 2 frets. From the E to the F is a half step, so 1 fret. From the F to the G is a whole step. From the G to the A is a whole step. From the A to the B is a whole step, which is the octave. Got a little off camera there. So everything above the 12th fret, which is the double dots, is a repeat of what we just did, only on a higher octave. So just to recap, coming down the B string, we have B, C, whole step D, whole step E, half step F, whole step G, whole step A, whole step B. And I got off the fretboard again. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's the B string. Now for the 4-string guitar players, you're going to start with your E string, open, the next note in the scale, F, half step, next note G, whole step, next note A, whole step, next note B, whole step, next note C, which is a half step, then a whole step to D, and then a whole step to A, which is the octave. That's the 12th fret, the octave. So if it's open E, the octave, the 12th fret is E also. Okay, just to go down that string again, E, half step F, whole step G, whole step A, whole step B, half step C, whole step D, whole step E. Okay, now we'll go to the A string. On my guitar, it's the middle one. On a 4 string, it's the next one down. So open A. The next note up in the scale is B, so that would be a whole step. Here's B. Then we have C next, which is a half step, followed by D, which is a whole step, followed by E, which is a whole step, then F, which is a half step, then G, which is a whole step, and then A, which is a whole step, back on the octave again. Okay, so to recap again, on the A string, open A, B is a whole step, C is a half step, D is a whole step, E is a whole step, F is a half step, G is a whole step, A is a whole step. Brings us to the D string. This is the second string from the highest, or the second from the bottom of the screen right here, D string. So D to E is a whole step, so your first note on the D string, besides the open, would be E here. A half step would take you to an F. G is a whole step, so it'd be here. Notice those markers. A is a whole step. B is a whole step, so it's 2 more frets up. C is a half step, so it's 1 fret. D is a whole step, so it's 2 frets. Then you're at the octave. So recap. D, whole step E, whole step, half step F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C, and half step to D, octave. That leaves 1 string, the G string, which is the highest string on my guitar and your guitar. Okay? So G followed by A, which is a whole step. So G, A on the 2nd fret, B is a whole step, C is a half step, so the fret, D is a whole step, E is a whole step, F is a half step, and then G is a whole step, then you're at the octave, and I keep getting off the screen there. Okay, to recap on the G string, open G, A is a whole step, B is a whole step, C is a half step, D is a whole step, E is a whole step, F is a half step, and G is a whole step. And you're at the octave. Okay, so that is how you find the notes on a bass guitar. Okay, so something to take note of. If I'm playing a D note here on the A string, an octave is 2 strings higher and 2 frets higher. So that is an octave. This note and this note are exactly an octave. So 2 strings and 2 frets. Going the other way, it's 2 frets and 2 strings. So what that does is if I'm playing a D and I want to find it on a different octave, I've got the one there, just very straightforward, just kind of like the corners of a box. Or I can go the opposite corners and play the octave there. Okay, the only other thing I'm going to touch on today is the C major scale. It has no flats or sharps, and it's kind of the basis for the numbering system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that's used in the scales, used in chord building. And so I'm going to show you how it goes. you always want to try and assign a finger to a fret. So in this situation, I'm going to do a C note, which is the root, and then it just goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So C, D, and then on the next string up, the E note is here, then an F, then a G, and then an A, B, C. So okay, that's do, re, mi if you listen to it. And then it's also important to number. So the first note is 1, obviously, followed by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, or the octave. And where you use these numbers is in the chord progressions themselves. If a person says, I was going to play a 1-4-5 pattern, it'd be 1, then 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be an F, and then a 5 would be the next in the scale up, which is a G. So there's an old song, Louie Louie as an example. It goes 1, 4, 5. Back to the 4. 1, 4, 5. So 1, 4, 5. If I were going to tell you how to play that song, I'd say it's a 1, 4, 5, 4. So that's the reason you number them. So again, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, that pattern, if you look at it as a pattern, is 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. If I wanted to play the C major scale or the major scale in the key of B, I would simply move my finger, starting finger, to a B and play the same pattern. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Thinking in terms of patterns then, to transpose a key on the bass guitar or the regular guitar becomes a simple matter of moving the guitar. You learn a song in the key of A and your singer plays in the key of C. You simply take what you did in A, move it up to a C. In this case, C would be right here, and play your pattern. And that's just the beginning of the scales. There are just mega millions of scales out there a person can play, and different ways they can be combined. But that is the building block. That's the very foundation, the major scale, the intervals in there, and the numbering system all start from that scale. So it's a good one to learn. It's good to understand that number system because you'll find that you run into it a lot. And that concludes my first tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Thank you.